Thank you so much for joining me today. Pastor Bob's Coffee Break, coming right up. Our mug of the month, Death is Dead. A mug, a poster, a t-shirt, and here's some of our great coffee. My mom's favorite, and it's called Joe Mama. Joe Mama. This is so good. And if you haven't tried it yet, what are you waiting for? You can order that today. All of our coffee blends, our mugs, our t-shirts, our posters, all of our bling right here. WeAreMetalWeAreFamily.com. Dear Pastor Bob, I've been married for over 25 years, and it seems that we just don't get along anymore. I know God hates divorce, but only for infidelity. My wife had an emotional affair online, and I was wondering if this is the same and grounds for divorce. That's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one, folks, because a lot of people go through this. They drift apart, and because your heart is always yearning for connection, they connect with somebody else. Now, they're talking about a biblical precedence, and it's found here in Matthew chapter 19 and verse 9. And it says, I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. In other words, stick with it and work it out. That's what it's saying. Except for sexual immorality. Now, defining sexual immorality can be a little trickier, very honestly. And the Bible doesn't specifically mention emotional affairs. Emotional affairs can be a form of adultery, obviously, and they involve an emotional connection with someone outside of your marriage. And it can be every bit as damaging as a physical affair. And this is one of those things that's such a gray area, at least for me, that I'm not going to say, thus saith the Lord, on this one, because I'm not sure. Now, I've been around people who have had emotional affairs, and I've seen their marriage ripped apart by it. And it generally doesn't last after that point. But I've also seen a few that have, and that have survived. It takes a lot of work for many years. Obviously, the answer is don't let this happen. Obviously, the answer is make sure that your marriage is thriving. Make sure that your connection is good, that you can talk out everything, that you still have romance in your relationship, that your relationship is going forward and not backward. It'll never stay the same. It'll either go forward and advance, or it'll retreat and go backwards. And when it starts going backwards, when you start, as people say, falling out of love, it's a huge thing. And it ought to be for everyone in that situation. It ought to be cause for alarm, because this is the kind of thing that happens. You say, well, that would never happen to us. Oh, yeah, it might. The heart desires what the heart desires. And make sure that your heart desires the person that you're married to. And whatever you have to do to get back to that place, make sure you do. So, this is a difficult scripture. And divorce is actually only allowed for one thing, and that's for sexual immorality. And can you commit that emotionally? Well, yeah. And can I just say, and this is a controversial statement these days, since everybody says that you can't really define a man, you can't really define a woman, and in many cases they're the same and whatever, but the Bible talks about man and woman and talks about the attributes of each one of them. Women can fall in love a lot more romantically, emotionally. Sexuality isn't necessarily, at least at the beginning, the highest thing in priority. For a man, it's what he understands. It's what he desires more than anything. Now, I'm generalizing, but it's generally true. And for a woman, falling in love emotionally is the biggest thing. And it becomes that for a man too, as he learns from his wife about emotions, about intimacy, about romance. Yeah. So this is important, and it is devastating. And in a woman's mind especially, and for a guy, it's hard to come back from an emotional affair as well. Guard your heart. Make sure that doesn't happen with you. And realize that it's many times just as devastating as a physical affair. All right. Well, I'm sorry I can't be more specific. I think there's some gray areas here that I'm probably just not qualified and not studied enough to talk about. But really, folks, the lesson from all of this is keep that flame going. And you can. And folks, remember that your twosome is a threesome. God is in the middle. And make sure that you put him in the middle of your relationship so that his love, his agape love, will flow with each other. Because many times there are things that tear us apart simply because we're a little different. And we need unconditional love to get through those things and to realize that at the core we love each other, and marriage is a commitment of that love. Anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. And folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.